the Senior Director and General Manager for ASEAN, Red Hat Asia Pacific, Mr. Damien Wong, for his keynote address. Mr. Wong, please.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, everybody. Fantastic. I see that there's life in this room. My name is Damien Wong. I'm the General Manager for Red Hat in the ASEAN region. And on behalf of the Red Hat team, I want to warmly welcome you to Red Hat Forum Singapore. This is our flagship user event. And I'm really glad that you all took the time this morning to come and join us. When I was coming over from home this morning, first thing I do is I log on to my 3G network, and then I check out the time it's going to take me to get here to make sure that I'm not going to be late, right? So I log on to Waze, and I check the time that I'm going to take to come here. I WhatsApp my team on when exactly I'm going to be arriving. I check, I get here. For those of you who are from the Singapore Police, please note, I don't do it while I'm driving. Yeah, I did it before I left home, just so that we're clear. And then when I got here, I managed to even check in for my flight, right, or select my seat for my flight next week. Check the news, and I looked at the things that I'm able to do today as opposed to in the past. And it just amazes me because the theme of what we have here today in the forum is about transforming IT and transforming your business. And I think all of us here will agree that IT has really transformed the way that we work, the way we live, the way that we play, right? And it touches every single part of our lives today. So I'm really excited to be here to share with you a little bit about what Red Hat is going to bring to you in transforming IT and transforming your business. So this is part of, Red Hat Forum Singapore is part of a series of tours around the region. It's of course my favorite leg because Singapore is my home. And I'm really excited about the sessions that we're going to have for the rest of the day. It's going to be around technology trends and how they impact the way that we live and the way that we run our businesses. So there's also a track for those who are a little bit more technical, a hands-on session for the OpenStack enthusiasts later at one of the breakout rooms. And for those who have not signed up but would love to have a touch of what OpenStack can do for your organization. Again, like I say, I qualify is for technical folks. You can sign up for that later. Before we proceed further, I will say that we will not be able to have such a wonderful event, such a wonderful venue for the event and beautiful logistics if it were not for our generosity of our partners. So I want to invite you to join me in giving them a round of applause. All right? Thank you, sponsors. Please check out their booths. There's a lot of good stuff that they're doing at their booths. So take the time during the breaks and lunch. Just have a chat with the guys who are manning the booths. Both the Red Hat booths as well as our sponsor booths. So the theme is transformation, right? Transform IT, transform your business. So what exactly does transformation mean? So if you look at the dictionary definition, it says a marked change in form, appearance, or nature, right? So I guess when you relate that to IT, it's about a marked change in form, appearance, or nature of IT that impacts the way that we run businesses, right? And I think that it is really apt in today's environment because as we look at what we are faced with, it's really about changing what we have today, right? In our enterprise data centers, in the way that we leverage the cloud, right? Into the future where we see, big data, social applications, right? Mobility. We see the Internet of Things, right? We see a lot of good stuff that is impacting the way that we run our businesses. And I think that it is a very apt time to look at how IT can transform our business, right? And I'll draw your attention. As I was reading the news this morning, I also noticed one of the news articles was about a local telco that was not able to take pre-orders for for iPhone 6 because of some security loopholes on their website. And it hit home really hard because my wife actually has been a subscriber of that telco for the last 16 years. And this morning she said she's switching, right, to another telco. And that really brings home the message of how, IT is the business. How if we are not able to ensure that the customer experience is aligned with what our customers expect, then we're not going to win more customers. In fact, we're going to lose them. So we have to be ready to transform IT in our organizations so that we can help our businesses transform and be more competitive. So in the past, we've heard our customers say that open source software from Red Hat has been associated with several attributes, that it's reliable, that it's sustainable, that it's cost-effective. And that's where we see a lot of you have adopted Red Hat technologies and have made good use of this, lowering the cost of technology, right, keeping the lights on so that you can channel more of that IT budget into innovation. But today, actually, we see a trend, right? Not only are folks expecting us to be reliable, sustainable, and cost-effective, there's also a big drive towards wanting open source software, wanting Red Hat to help organizations be more responsive to changes in the market, to be able to develop and deploy apps faster. And I think this is a very interesting time because I think folks have seen what open source can do in helping them lower costs, getting better TCOs, but now it's about agility, it's about being able to respond quicker to the market, right? So there are some drivers that are pushing enterprises towards looking more seriously at open source and in a more broad fashion. So let's take a look at one of these key drivers. We've seen in many enterprises today, server virtualization is actually already fairly commonplace. In fact, I would say it's very mainstream. But many of the customers who have virtualized their data centers, right, and they've done that with very costly proprietary software, have started to realize that the previous legacy applications that were scale up in nature, and you virtualize them to get some economies of scale around that. In today's context, it's not going to cut it because we see next generation applications, web-based applications that are scale out in nature and require a different type of technology and architecture, right? And we've seen OpenStack come to the forefront in providing a solution to fill that gap. OpenStack, for those of you who are not familiar, is a leading open source scale-out cloud infrastructure software platform. We also have heard many of the customers wanting to start to adopt a hybrid approach, bridging across both their on-premise resources into the public cloud, because there's a lot of good stuff that you can do when you are able to leverage the public cloud. I think many of you are aware of that. And again, in this respect, OpenStack does play a very big influencing role in terms of the public cloud service providers that are out there. So let's look at a case study of someone very close to home, the Nanyang Technological University, or NTU. Now, NTU had a challenge which required them to adopt an open hybrid cloud. They wanted to support their academic activities with scalable computing resources. They evaluated various vendors, and eventually they selected Red Hat. And I think the quote here from Prof. So of NTU says it all. So what exactly did they do? They adopted Red Hat's hybrid cloud solution, which comprised Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or RHEL, CloudForms, the cloud management software, RHEL OpenStack platform, and Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization. So basically what they did was they were able to take what they had, right, be able to transform it into an infrastructure that was scalable, unifying both private and public cloud. They were able to scale out their compute during peak. But because there were concerns around data, right, being able to keep the data private, right, was very important. And with the solution that we helped them to architect, they were able to do that. So now they're able to control and monitor from a single centralized management interface. And that's just absolutely outstanding. Coming from Singapore, this is really world-class. It's really leading edge. Another set of drivers that we see from our customers is really very simple. It's the need to do more with less. The need to do more with less. Again, many customers who have already virtualized their infrastructure with VMware, they're seeing that, there are ways to reduce costs by adopting open alternatives. So if you look at the Linux Foundation survey that was conducted recently about popular open source technologies, the most popular open source technologies are KVM, Ceph, and Gluster. If some of you find those projects familiar, and that's because all those three have been commercialized by Red Hat. KVM in the form of REV, or Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, Ceph through our acquisition of Inktank earlier this year, and Gluster in the form of Red Hat Storage, a scale-out storage software. So I think those are interesting because if you think about it, if you want to work with open source technologies, you want to work with the company that knows how to take open source technologies and be able to make them enterprise ready. And I think Red Hat is the poster child for that. The other challenge that many enterprises are facing revolves around big data, right? The data that is being generated is doubling, and it's in fact not just doubling, it's growing exponentially. So there is a need now to be able to, there's a need now to have to store that data, to do that in a very cost-effective manner. And from that perspective, we believe that scale-out storage and Red Hat storage from that perspective is a very, very apt solution for organizations to adopt. To illustrate, we'll take another customer that we've seen, Casio. And many of you would probably be familiar with Casio, right? Timepieces. Casio in 2012 embarked on this journey of lowering the cost of their infrastructure and breaking away from vendor lock-in by working with Red Hat and virtualizing that Red Hat Enterprise Linux workload with REV. And they did that very, very successfully, and they were very happy with the results. And that led on to them expanding their footprint with Red Hat. And in 2014, they adopted Red Hat Storage. Right? Again, this helped them further lower the cost of running IT, of keeping the lights on. And this is a very good example of how you too can leverage open source technologies, right, to do the same. A third and final driver that we are seeing in the market today revolves around the buzzword of DevOps. Effectively, we hear customers saying that their developers are spending too much time managing infrastructure instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing, developing and deploying new applications, stuff that will help them get competitive advantage, stuff that will help them acquire new customers, keep their existing customers, help the business do more business, right? And from that perspective, again, what comes to mind is platform as a service, right? And we at Red Hat have Openshift. Openshift is Red Hat's platform as a service offering. And this is something that is very apt for those who are in the development world because Openshift platform as a service abstracts away the infrastructure so that developers do not have to worry about what's under the hood. They can focus on doing what they do best, develop and deploy code. But then for those who are a little bit more mature in this space and have done some reading up, they started to ask us, should we go OpenShift or should we go Cloud Foundry? Again, I would just urge you to take a look at Red Hat's legacy, Red Hat's, I would say, pedigree in the open source world. We're fully committed to ensuring that what we do in OpenShift with platform as a service is going to be as open as what we've done with Linux. And to illustrate a success that we've had in this space, I'm sure many of you have heard of Cisco. So Cisco is not just a Red Hat customer. Cisco is also a Red Hat partner. And Cisco does a lot of their own application development. They have 5,000 developers, 15,000 JVMs. And they had a strong need to have automation, self-service, and to increase the productivity of their development teams. On that note, Cisco deployed OpenShift Enterprise, right, which is a private platform as a service offering from Red Hat. With OpenShift, they've been able to enforce standard provisioning, be able to maintain standard software stacks, have the depth and the support to ensure that the developers are productive, right? I think at the end of the day, they chose it because it just works. right? It's a good solution. Which brings me to this next slide. Don't just take my word for it that Openshift is better. The same Linux Foundation survey also surveyed cloud professionals. And cloud professionals have voted. And they've voted for Openshift overwhelmingly, right, over Cloud Foundry. Right? 54% of the cloud professionals have selected Openshift over Cloud Foundry. And I was just told by my colleague Frank Feldman last night that Openshift crossed the 2 million application mark. Right? There are 2 million applications now deployed on Openshift, which is an amazing growth figure, given that we just started this not that long ago. So I would encourage you to explore this for yourself. And remember, there is, in one of the tracks, a little bit more of a deep dive into Openshift for those of you who are more interested around what you can do to address the DevOps issue. So in conclusion, I think we all know that technology trends are being thrust upon us, and we can either take that and leverage that, or we can be, made irrelevant by these trends. And I think that's not where we want to be. We want to have those attributes, right? Being reliable, sustainable, cost-effective, have infrastructure that does that, but also have the capability to respond quickly and develop and deploy applications fast, right? And we've seen those examples in NTU, in Casio, in Cisco, and there are many, many more examples out there which illustrate how you too can take advantage of the technologies and the innovations that Red Hat can bring to help you overcome those challenges and meet your needs. So this is Red Hat Forum. The word forum means a dialogue, a discussion. And I fully encourage you, ask questions during the sessions, go out to the booths and have a conversation with those who are at the booths, network with one another, because the best practices lie in all of your heads. And of course, take the opportunity, hopefully, to learn a little bit more about some of the technologies that are coming your way. With that, I want to wish you all a very good Red Hat Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Please do remain on stage. Thank you for your keynote address. I think it's undeniable for us all to say that technology is very important in the present and will be in the future to come. So we would just like you to remain on stage as you present the appreciation plaques to our sponsors who were kind enough to join us today here at the Red Hat Forum. First, we'd like to present the plaque to our platinum sponsors: Intel, and to another one of our platinum sponsors, IBM Power. And finally, IBM System X. A warm thank you to our platinum sponsors. And next, for our gold sponsors, I'd like to invite Dell, who unfortunately is not here, so we will be accepting the plaque on their behalf. And Symantec, our next gold sponsor. And finally, our silver sponsors, Black Duck Lyra Infosystems, Cyrus Solutions, Ingram, Fujitsu, And last but not least, Izeno. Thank you, Mr. Wong, for the appreciation of the plaques. And once again, a very big thank you to all of our sponsors.